And you didn't know at that time who Jack Snyder, Tyler DeSilva, or Raul Valle were, is that correct?
Not fully. I had known Snyder and DeSilva just like through football, not like personally knew them, but I've heard the name before.
Okay. So at that point, when you saw them, you couldn't say what their names were. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
And at some point, you said that Jack Snyder went to grab Ryan Hines' beer, correct?
He did grab Ryan Hines' beer.
He grabs Ryan Hines' beer, and then you said the defendant didn't say anything, correct?
Not to my recollection. I don't recall what everyone was saying.
And that he was peripheral to Mr. Hines and Mr. Snyder, correct?
Yes.
And at some point, Mr. Hines and Mr. Snyder squared off, right?
Yeah.
As though they were going to have a fist fight or some sort of physical altercation.
They agreed to fight over the beer.
Okay. When you say they agreed to fight over the beer, were there any adults present at this point, or was this just...
witnessing this, no. I think maybe a parent or two. Both of them were home, but I know his mom was home.
And you claim that the first punch was thrown by the defendant?
Yes.
And that he punched Ryan Hines in the face from behind, correct?
Yes.
And you said that Hines then took Snyder to the ground?
Yes.
Now, you've described and you saw a photograph of Mr. Valle wearing a helmet, correct? Mm-hmm. And he was also wearing some sort of a neck pillow. Did you see that?
Outside, I'm not too exactly sure if he had it on still or not. It was a black or a dark colored pillow. It was nighttime. I don't recall exactly if he was wearing the neck pillow.
And that was Austin Light for your friend. That was his father's motorcycle helmet, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
And at some point after they began fighting, you said that Mr. Hines was getting the better of Mr. Snyder, correct?
I'd say he was thrown to the ground. He was on top of him.
And at that point, you said that the defendant tackled Ryan Hines, correct?
No, he removed his helmet and struck him.
That's what you told us now. You gave a statement to the police officers on May 15th of 2022, correct?
Yeah.
You went there with your parents at about 2 o'clock down to the PD to give a statement?
Sounds about right.
And you told them at that time that the defendant tackled Ryan and punched him, correct?
They might have taken that incorrectly because Hines is the only person that tackled anyone. He took him to the ground. I watched him tackle him. And no one else went to the ground either.
So you didn't tell them that that the defendant tackled Ryan and punched him?
If they marked me as saying that, then on paper I did, but I recall Hines tackling.
And you told us here, and you told them then, that the defendant took off his helmet and swung it at Mr. Hines, correct?
Yeah, he struck him with it.
He took that helmet physically off of his head and swung it and struck Mr. Hines?
Yes, he hit Hines with it.
And then Mr. DeSilva jumped in afterwards, correct?
Yeah, he didn't contribute much to it, but yeah.
He began punching and kicking Ryan Hines on the ground, correct?
Yeah.
That's your recollection. That's what you're certain of today.
Yeah, he wasn't very much so involved. He was the last one to enter in, and by then it got broken up pretty fast.
And you were prevented from helping because this fourth unknown person was holding you back, right?
I wasn't, so to say, be held back because we were initially watching because they agreed to fight one-on-one, and that was agreed upon both. They were fine with it. The second they get active, like, things happen, and then the girl hops in, I'm off to the side. I had no clue who I was standing with, and we were talking about it, and he was like, don't get involved. He was telling me not to because he was like you're in that. Like, there's three of them.
There were adults at this house, you think?
What do you, like, parents?
Yes.
His mom was home, yeah.
You were aware of that?
I wasn't until she came outside when the fight got broken up.
But so you claim that these two agreed to fight Mr. Snyder and Mr. Hines, and
yeah.
You decided you were just going to watch the thing.
They said they were running one-on-one fight. Hines, it's not allowed to be said, but they said they agreed upon ones.
You didn't make any efforts to notify any parents inside the house that this was going on out in their driveway?
I didn't know they were in the driveway. Or in the house, sorry.
You said the fight lasted a short time, maybe as much as 30 to 40 seconds?
As much as 40, nothing like.
And afterwards, Mr. Leifer's mother came outside and asked you to leave, correct?
Yeah, which we were more than fine with doing.
And she gave the beers back to Mr. Hines, correct?
I didn't exactly see if she picked them up or if she handed them to him. She could have.
And at that point, you got a ride back to Ms. Ridsick's house, Natalia Ridsick's house, correct?
Yes.
Who gave you that ride?
I do not know her name. We had been walking down the driveway. We had met a group of girls, and they had witnessed what happened, and we offered, you guys mind bringing us home, and they had no problem with it.
You don't recall who that was?
I do not recall their names.
And you told us that you weren't doing any drinking on the way back to Ms. Ridsick's house, correct?
No, I didn't have anything. Once I had gotten to Austin's, I had no alcohol.
You didn't have any of Mr. Hines' beers that he had
No.
just gotten back?
No, he lost majority of them in that yard, so he was not in the mood to be giving them out.
And you immediately called your friends, Thomas and Charlie Connery, right?
No, I believe Charlie called me.
And you told them about what had occurred there at the Five Lacerbrook house, right?
Yeah.
And everybody on your side, and this is the Shelton High kids at this point that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Those are your friends, are mainly Shelton High kids?
Yeah.
And you let them know about the fight that had just happened at 5 Lazy Brook Road?
Yeah.
You were upset, right?
Yeah. Me and Hines were a little pissed off. We were like, what the hell, that was bull.
A little pissed off?
Yeah. We weren't, fuming, acting out of rage, doing anything stupid, but we were like, that was stupid. We were just pissed.
Okay. And you told us that there was a basketball group chat that some of the kids started, correct?
Yeah, I was in it prior. It started because we played pickup basketball, hence the name of the group chat. And we had two SJ kids in there that we were friends with. We'd hoop with them. And then after it all had happened, I don't remember who specifically, but they were all added, or at least 4 people. I didn't have any of the numbers, so they were all just random numbers.
When you say they were all added, you mean Mr. Valle, Mr. De Silva,
I
Mr.
found that out after,
added,
but
correct?
in the given moment, I didn't know. Yes.
But that's who was added, right?
Yes.
And that's who you started texting about 43 Laurel Glen Drive, correct?
Yes.
Giving them the address, correct?
Yeah.
In fact, taking a photo of the address and texting that, correct?
Yeah.
That wasn't just some of the kids, right? That was you.
Yeah, my phone number is the number that sent it, yes.
You've talked about things as having happened collectively, but when we're talking about the address being sent, that was you individually, not collectively.
I mean, if you put it into retrospect, yeah, my finger hit the button, I think, but I was a sophomore at a senior's house. I wasn't just going to have some kids show up that my first time hanging out there, I wouldn't just invite them. So I was told by people, I don't exactly remember who, but we had been talking about what just happened. Because they started off with come to Trumbull High. So we were like, we're not going to Trumbull High. And said what we said.
So you're saying somebody forced you to text?
No, nobody forced me to text in anything, no.
And then you described ultimately getting over to 43 Laurel Glen Drive. You told us maybe 30 to 40 kids were there?
Yeah.
Could it have been more?
I don't think so. By more, it's not touching 50. Maybe a number in the 40s possibly, but I don't think so.
And you didn't have anything to drink once you got there, except maybe I think you conceded you could have had 1 beer?
Yeah, I could have been given one. I don't remember drinking, but I'm not going to rule it out.
Was there beer at the party at 43 Laurel Glen Drive?
Not for the taking, but people had their own supplies.
Was there liquor at the party at 43 Laurel Glen Drive?
I didn't see. He could have had a bottle at his house prior. I'm not sure.
And when you arrived there, you described it as being dark, correct?
Where?
43 Laurel Glen Drive now.
You're referring about outside?
Yes.
It's dim lit. It wasn't terribly dark. We were able to see the people in front of us. Flashlights are out too. There's the light in the driveway. It's not you can't see.
It was misty that night?
I don't recall it being misty.
You don't recall it being misty or rainy?
No.
You don't recall the grass being wet?
I do not.
You don't recall any sort of precipitation whatsoever?
don't recall, but I don't recall missed specifically.
And you said you were in the house in the basement, correct?
Yeah.
And that it was a typical high school party, typical high school things were going on, right?
Yeah.
What were those typical high school things that were going on at that party?
Listening to music, people having a couple drinks together. Might have had a pong table, I'm not sure, but just people hanging out, listening to music, having a good time, hanging out.
You said might have had a pong table. What's a pong
Like
table?
a table to play beer pong.
What's beer pong?
So each team has 10 cups, and you shoot a ping pong ball into each other's cups, and whoever makes all 10 first wins.
How old was the oldest person that was attending this party?
Could have been 19, 18 or 19.
No adults present?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So you told us before that maybe some folks had some beers, they brought their own. Now you're telling us that there might have been a beer pong table set up and people might have been playing beer
Yeah,
pong?
by beer pong, I don't specifically mean every single cup is filled with beer, because we've come to learn that it's a lot easier to fill them with water, because then you could just keep playing and play the game.
Okay, so are you telling us that this night there were people playing pong with water?
I'm not telling you specifically, I don't recall, but if 95% of the time that is the situation, because you get your beer all gross.
And you told us that at some point you became aware that these St. Joe's kids had arrived and they were outside, correct? Yeah. How did you become aware of that?
So initially there was a text that said we were here. Someone ran outside, didn't see them, and then someone else was like, "There's a car outside," and that's when we all fled outside.
And you described that car as being parked outside down towards the corner of Adams, correct?
Yeah.
And that car was on the other side of the street, correct?
Yes.
And then you told us that you all collectively headed outside, right?
Yeah.
Was that all 30 or 40 of you?
A few stragglers may have fallen back, but the majority